the dinosaur. Let us not go extinct here in Mexico. You have been very persistent, and you have hunted me down here. So I do have one last statement to tell you. I have left the United States, and I am now going to live here in my former homeland, here in the Yucatan of Mexico. There's a cenote here that I lived in during the last extinction of my kind, and since it seems inevitable to me that the next extinction is at hand, I plan to be close to my cenote so that I might be fortunate enough to endure this next extinction. For it is extinction that is threatening the human race from so many different ways. And nothing, absolutely nothing, is being done about it. Methane poisoning leaking out from the melting tundra. Methane poisoning from all of the livestock in the world, from meat production. Fossil fuels, violence, greed, mythic retardation, self-intoxication. I have seen it run rampant. Until now, we have this latest atrocity, the presidency of Donald J. Trump, the buffoon, the false, bad actor who has stolen our nation so that they can rob it blind and destroy it. While this terrible, narcissistic, sociopathic buffoon has the audacity to think he knows what is best for all the people of this nation and world, I will not live in the United States until the United States can lead the world in saving the future. I will remain close to my cenote, for it is my contention that we are rapidly heading toward a mass extinction of all life on planet Earth. In 2012, I ran for president, and I made many suggestions of ways we could save the future. I begged that we might find a way to not cause the extinction of all life on the planet by changing our human processes, by having the courage to realize that some of our traditions were wrong and that we were the victim of a warrior cult of violence and the petty and small-minded intentions of a very few greedy, bloated, selfish men who wish to cling to their colonial power when white men rule the world, despite the fact that we have progressed far beyond that dark era. Now we see that those colonialists are still in power, having stagnated the progression of the human race for 50 years or more. The Federal Reserve, the International Monetary Fund, the CIA, the Pentagon, they are all clinging desperately to power as the future continues to march on toward a better humanity. Is it not the purpose of government to be the steward of the progression of the human race, not its stagnation? It is due to this terrible stagnation, in order to keep the money flowing into the hands of very few, that we are now suffering this dire consequence of our unevolved processes and institutions, still waging war and genocide across the world. We call down our own destruction. I suggested many changes, most importantly a spirit council that can oversee the global trade and processes beyond the sovereignty of mere nations, a spirit council of spiritual leaders, philosophers, poets, artists, who have proven themselves worthy of that distinction, to help to guide the world without selfish or nationalist interests. I suggested the end of the privately owned automobile and the use of fossil fuels in favor of more sustainable and reliable processes. The end of meat production. Ceasing the virtue of having children as the main purpose of life. To begin to manage and restrain our human processes so that they foster all life and do not destroy it. I suggested that the roots of our problem lie in self-intoxication and mythic retardation. But no one listened. As usual, I was told that I was wrong, that I had no right to claim any authority at all. And no one commented or seemed to notice. Like with my music and my poetry and my books and all that I've done, they languish in obscurity. No one cares. No one has any attention span beyond 30 seconds. Superficiality, where people live lives that run from one meal to the next, and that's all that matters, or one romance to the next, in an endless pursuit of their own pleasure, makes me question whether the human race deserves this magnificent and infinite garden of continually progressing consciousness. If we refuse to embrace the imperative to progress as a civilization and as a people, we call down our own destruction. Evil must be branded for what it is. Evil always goes too far, underestimates its enemies and the forces against it, and overestimates its own power, so that it eventually crashes to the depths of the earth. Yes, it can climb up to heaven and wound everyone on the side of good. But when the last good person is wounded, it falls to the depths of the earth every time. This is what we are witnessing with the terrible election of the worst of us, lauded for many decades as the best, the capitalist, entrepreneur, billionaire, who exploits the law for his own advantage, refuses to pay taxes or care about the common will or the progression of humanity and the elevation of life and the common equality and justice which every person, regardless of their nationality, ethnicity, gender, or any other consideration, deserves as a sovereign and divine being living in a perfect and impeccable universe.